Russia fires almost 400 missiles at Ukraine in a day. Ukrainian air forces launch 6 strikes on enemy positions. For full news, please visit uk.movies.yahoo.com and www.ukrinform.net. Russia launched almost 400 missile strikes on eastern Ukraine on Sunday, according to President Zelensky. Russia withdrew its forces from the southern city of Kherson this month and moved some of them to reinforce positions in the eastern Donetsk and Luhansk regions, an industrial area known as the Donbas. Speaking in a video address, Zelensky said, "The fiercest battles, as before, are in the Donetsk region. Although there were fewer attacks today due to worsening weather, the amount of Russian shelling unfortunately remains extremely high. In the Luhansk region, we are slowly moving forward while fighting. As of now, there have been almost 400 artillery attacks in the east since the start of the day." Zelensky also said troops in the south were consistently and very calculatedly destroying the potential of the occupiers, but gave no details. Kiev said on Saturday about 60 Russian soldiers had been killed in a long-range artillery attack in the south, the second time in 4 days Ukraine has claimed to have inflicted major casualties in a single incident. President Zelensky's address comes a few days after the first visit to the country by Rishi Sunak. The PM announced a £50 million package of defense aid comprising 125 anti-aircraft guns and technology to help Ukraine counter Iranian-supplied drones, including radars and anti-drone technology. His visit came after a week that saw tensions between the West and Russia ratchet up after a missile hit a Polish village close to the Ukrainian border and sparked concerns Russia had struck a NATO member state. Tensions have eased since by the likely attribution of the hit to Ukrainian defense forces, but Russian missile strikes on the country show no sign of relenting. On the other hand, over the past day, Ukraine's defense forces have repelled enemy attacks near the Donetsk region Spern, Yakovlivka, Bakhmut, Opetny, and Klishchivka, and the Luhansk region's Bilohorivka. The relevant statement was made by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine on Facebook, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. Over the past day, Russian troops have launched 2 missile strikes on civil infrastructure in the Kherson region's Kupiansk and opened fire with multiple launch rocket systems, MLRS, along the contact line about 10 times. In the Volyn, Polishcha, and Siversky directions, the situation remained rather unchanged. No signs of forming offensive groups were detected. Belarus continues to support Russia's armed aggression against Ukraine, providing the aggressor state with its infrastructure, territory, and airspace. Russian aircraft operate flights within the airspace of Belarus nearly every day. The MiG-31K aircraft, which takes off from the Machulishi airfield, is a carrier of the Kinzhal hypersonic missiles, capable of hitting targets all over Ukraine. For this reason, we are forced to announce air raid alerts so often across all regions of Ukraine, the General Staff noted. In the border areas of Russia's Bryansk and Kursk regions, the occupiers continue to keep separate units. In the Slobozansky direction, Russian troops opened fire near the Kharkiv region's Dvorykna, Ohertseve, Streleka, Staritsya, and Chaikivka. In the Kupiansk and Lyman directions, Russian invaders are keeping the defense within the captured frontiers. The enemy used mortars, cannon, and rocket artillery to open fire near the Kharkiv region's Krokmalin and Tabaivka, the Luhansk region's Novoselivsk, Makiivka, Ploshenka, and Nevsk, the Donetsk region's Berestov. In the Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Novopavlivka directions, Russian troops are focusing efforts on conducting offensive operations. The enemy used tanks and the whole range of artillery to open fire near the Donetsk region's Andrivka, Bakhmut, Bakhmutsk, Bilohorivka, Verkhnyo-Kamiansk, Vasil, Vremivka, Volodar, Klishchivka, Maersk, Opetny, Rozdalivka, Pereskovivka, Soldar, Spern, and Yakovlivka. In the Zaporizhia direction, Russian occupiers are defending themselves. The enemy launched artillery strikes near the Zaporizhia region's Vishka-Teresivka, Huliapol, Doroznyanka, Zaliznik, Novopol, Orikhiv and Chervon. In the Kryvyi Rih and Kherson directions, Russian invaders are keeping positional defense and improving fortification equipment. The enemy used tanks, cannon and rocket artillery to open fire near Antonivka, Velitinsk, Novokary, Novodyahinka, Poniativka, Tokarivka and Kherson. In the Kakhovka district, Russian occupiers continue looting and robberies. Local residents are deprived of personal cars, motorcycles, and even bicycles. Russian troops continue to suffer losses. In particular, about 100 wounded Russian invaders were brought to the city hospital of the Kherson region Skadovsk. According to the updated information, on November 19, 2022, Ukrainian forces hit enemy personnel clusters. Russian troops lost over 100 soldiers and wounded near the Vasilivka district's Palahi, Kamyanka, Mykolivka, and the Zaporizhia region's Enerhodar. About 20 military equipment units and 2 ammunition depots were destroyed.